Hey, what's up, you guys? Oberyn Moonie here, coming to you guys right after episode 7. Wow, there's so much to talk about. This episode really kind of didn't do it for me in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about still because it's just man, this kind of made me wonder what direction they're going in, because honestly they're adding a lot of story elements to the show. There's so many tropes now in the show just because a lot of people aren't consolidated. So I mean, going to what we usually do from the north down, a lot of stuff going on in the north right now. You're definitely seeing a power consolidation in between Jon and Sansa. Right now, a lot of people are Jon is kind of the dominant one because, I mean, he died and he came back. That's a huge deal. I mean, he's basically Jesus Jon at this point. Or Jon Jesus Snow, whatever you want to say it. So he has way more of legend, and also just medieval society being very misogynistic and patriotic. I mean, or patriarchal. They're also patriotic too. They're overly patriotic, which is kind of the whole reason why we're in this mess. But yeah, so Sansa is really just kind of looked over. I mean, she's basically been a wife to a Lannister. She's been a wife to a Bolton. Basically, in that kind of world, it makes her not old news. It makes her really she's kind of looked down upon. That being said, House Stark still holds a lot of weight in the north in that, and you can tell. I'm really glad that we're seeing more of the north. They gave a flash of the House Mormont and Bear Island, and it was really beautiful. And Lyanna Mormont, I mean, I was wondering when they're going to bring in one of the Mormont females, just because they're such great characters. And even if we only got to see basically one of them, Lyanna Mormont, for a little 10 or 12 year old, whatever she was, man, she played that great. That was basically my favorite part of the episode, was just because I felt they got the Mormont character down so much. Okay, cool, that would be how it would go. Except the Mormonts were a little bit more loyal. They basically, when a Stark called, they were there. Boom. So however, it kind of shows, I'm kind of wondering, obviously I think the setup is that Sansa is gonna contact Littlefinger and maybe get the Knights of the Vale, who are camped out basically ready to storm the north. However, whatever deal she was writing, or whatever that seemed in that kind of stuff, it seemed like she seemed kind of quasi-guilty about it. I wonder if she's going to proclaim herself queen in the north. I wonder how Jon would feel about that, honestly. If Sansa seriously proclaimed herself queen in the north, would he feel that she stole that from Rickon? I mean, how would he feel about that? You know what I mean? Because keep in mind, Jon, I don't believe Jon ever really had that position to where he was offered Winterfell, at least not in the show, and then turned down Winterfell. That's kind of interesting. I think that they're not adding that trope. I wonder if they're saving it for kind of later, because I mean, who knows what'll come into that point. And I thought the wildling, them getting the wildlings, I thought that was cool. Awesome to see 1-1 and that kind of stuff. I know that a lot of the north is going to have problems with the wildlings, but I think this is going to be eventually, I feel like something's going to happen to where the north is going to be oh shit, we really need to get the Boltons out of here and put the Starks back in, because the Starks are the ones that quote unquote originally destroyed the White Walkers, and Winterfell was made when the first War of Dawn was over and mankind had won. So I feel like the Starks are symbolically the ones that need to deal with the White Walkers. They're kind of the heroes that kill the White Walkers specifically. Kind of like cowboys are anti-Indian, Starks are anti-White Walkers. You know what I mean? Anyway, sad that we didn't get to see any more of the far north people Bran and Benjen and that kind of stuff. But, kind of figures that they're going to be bouncing back and forth. Really, like I said, really great to see other northern houses. I think the Glovers will come around eventually. Like I said, something's going to happen that will definitely unify the north, or they're going to just have to take Winterfell with what they have. And like I said, I think the Umbers are ripened for a turnaround. That's all I know. Everything, the good guys, quote unquote, of this show are really setting up for a lot of vengeance. I feel like there's definitely things in place, which brings us down to Sandor, Clegane, the Hound, which I thought that was a great way to open the show and just kind of shock value. Really awesome that we got to see the elder brother for a second. I forget who the guy is exactly, the character that played him. I thought he played it really, really good. He was really likable. Stark contrast from his the kind of faith that he is compared to the High Sparrow. Even though they're both strong believers in the Seven, I think it kind of shows like how people can be strong yet compassionate still. Like I always made the case that I thought that the elder brother would make like the best High Septim, especially. I mean, maybe I think honestly in the books he might become the High Septim. I don't know. I mean, from this point, I don't know though. However, though, I think we're really seeing, we're really getting geared up for Stoneheart. Like, I don't want to get too excited for it because there's just been so many letdowns from the show. And even if they add Stoneheart now, I'm not 100% sure that they would have got the value that they would have gotten it if they had added her in earlier. I think it might just be a little bit too late now for some people. However, I'm just stoked that if they're going to put her in the show at all. I really think that we're going, because we have Limp Lothar now. We have the phrase at Riverrun. Jaime seriously did, hit the mouth kind of thing. That whole trope. He met with the Blackfish. The Brotherhoods Without Banners is kind of coming out big again. However, they have gotten much more dark, much darker. I mean, the Brotherhood Without Banners is basically the people that killed all those, just the poor people that were part of the Seven and the Elder Brother. So is Sandor Clegane going to go against the Brotherhood Without Banners? What's up with that? Because I kind of like, I seriously thought that if the only reason Sandor would come back, I thought would be to face his brother, but at this point, who knows? You know what I mean? I think it's going to be really interesting to see how, if he does get invested in the War of the North, I mean, what will he do if he finds out that Sansa's alive? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't he go and try to find her, I wonder? I mean, how would she react? They're both kind of in the North somewhat, so I mean, what's going to happen, dude? Like, do you really, like, if Sansa and Sandor met, what... Like, would there be some sort of, like, love connection? Would there be some sort of, like, would he become her, like, Queen's Guard if she does become a queen? Who knows, dude? I mean, that's really... I'm glad that I feel like this can kind of, like, we can kind of confirm that Sandor will come back in the story. Or maybe they're just doing it for fun for the show. Because it does seem like a very different trope. Anyway, glad that he's back. I thought that all those scenes were done pretty well, even though I thought it was kind of obvious that those guys were up to no good. Like, Sandor, like, the Hound was completely right. Like, you guys shouldn't trust him, and then you guys end up getting killed, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Going down to Riverrun, that was a really, 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 really cool... It was a cool scene to see it played out. The guy that they have, playing Edmure, I've never thought that he was, like, a great Edmure. I completely pictured, for anyone that's seen the movie Anonymous, there's this guy, I forget, he's the Earl, he's basically the one that gets killed, the one that they're trying to put on the throne. I always pictured him as the dude from Anonymous, like the guy that ends up getting killed. I always thought that, like, he would be a perfect Edmure. Like, he had, like, the kind of shoulder-length red hair, auburn hair. Anyway, this Edmure doesn't really have the Tully look. I mean, he looks like an idiot, which Edmure kind of is played up as. But, he just doesn't have the... Edmure's supposed to be kind of quasi, like, good-looking, dashing. And this guy I just don't think has it. But, whatever. Like I said, just minor things. Really glad that we got to see the whole Jaime and Blackfish... trope. However, that it just doesn't work because Jaime, his redemption arc is basically nil. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw the Next On preview, but like Jaime is not at all like what he's in the books. Like in the books, he's like repentant to what he did about Bran, about what like the Starks have suffered, and that kind of whole thing. In this, he just kind of seems more obsessed with Cersei. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Jaime and Dorne are like my biggest disappointments of the show. However, I am glad we got to see Bronn. I feel like Bronn is like, he's kind of like the silver lining that we get because of Jaime's story change. At least we get more Bronn because he's just dude. I mean, like, it's Jeremy Flynn, the guy that plays him in the show. He's actually made me even like his character more in the books. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, he plays a goddamn good Bronn. Like, there's no one else I could ever picture him as that in that role. But anyway. I just thought that was I thought that was a cool way to play it out. I really don't understand why they change some of the dialogue from the books in the show, because in the books it's just so much better. Like the whole thing, like when Littlefinger pushed Lysa Arryn, dude, like they could have kept what he said in the books and it would have been way better. What they changed in the show just didn't cope right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a stickler like that. But anyway, glad that we at least got to see a kind of showdown between Jaime and the Blackfish, because I feel like that's very important for Jaime's character in a lot of ways, not just more about his redemption arc, but in a lot of ways, because it just shows that he is capable. I mean, he is not scared. He really is a brave guy and a good battle commander. We really haven't seen his talents in the past couple of seasons because he's been on this, like, I don't know, this like kind of rapist obsession about Cersei, dude. I'm sorry, I really don't like what they did with Jaime. I'm sorry, like I just can't, like whatever. But anyway, yeah, so glad to see like something kind of word for word from the books, except changing minor differences. Like I think that the fact that we're seeing the phrase there and their incompetence, and even saying, hey, you guys can leave, I seriously think we're being set up for Stoneheart. Like, there's just, if they're not going to do it, then seriously putting Lame Lothar in and that kind of stuff, which is fucking pointless. You know what I mean? Like, why give us those phrases if you're not going to give us the whole, you know, thing and seeing them get killed and offed by Stoneheart and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I digress. Going down to King's Landing now. King's Landing is basically just a clusterfuck. I have no idea what's going to go on. All I know is Natalie Dormer is not only sexy as hell, but she's a great actress. Because I seriously had thought that she had drank the High Sparrow's Kool-Aid, like, through and through. I was like, dude, okay, maybe she had, like, a religious conversion, because sometimes under stress, people can just, like, break and decide to, like, I forget that one syndrome, where you basically fall in love with your captor or something like that. Stockholm Syndrome, yeah, there we go. So yeah, you know, I kind of figured that maybe she had just said, well, if you can't, like, beat him, join him kind of thing. But that whole, like, Rose note was pretty awesome. I think the Queen of Thorns is being uncharacteristically foolish, just because I think that there's still a way that she can keep disdain for Cersei, but also use Cersei to her advantage. Like, Cersei is wanting to help, and this is one of the only times that I would actually rely on Cersei for helping, because you guys have a common cause, you know what I mean? Like Cersei has definitely been humbled in some ways. I mean, you can say humbled or broken, because I don't think she's in the right mind anymore at this point. But like, I just feel like the Queen of Thorns she doesn't really have anything to benefit from, like, just shitting on Cersei the way she did, which was like, dang, she just shit on her, dude. Like, I honestly wonder if she's plotting to kill the Queen of Thorns now, or maybe had Sir Gregor even kill her in that scene and we just don't know yet, or something, because damn, like, that, she just, like, shit on Cersei, like, terribly. But yeah, so that was an interesting trope. However, it's cool that we know that Marjorie is kind of still a Tyrell. You know, the whole, like, Tyrell Rose, note slip, that was awesome. So I kind of wonder, I mean, obviously there's going to be some sort of showdown. Obviously the Queen of Thorns is a threat for the High Sparrow. He knows it. She knows it. And, you know, I just kind of wonder what all their end game is going to be, because, you know, okay, like, Marjorie is cool with the High Sparrow, but is she going to, like, kill him from the inside? Or what do they expect is going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, especially because they're saying that Loras needs to, like, renounce all titles and that kind of stuff. Like, dude, that's basically taking away the heir to Highgarden. So I can understand why Highgarden is, like, super, super, like, adamant about getting him back and that kind of stuff. And Marjorie, because Marjorie, like, that's both their prize kids there, and they're basically now, like, not capable of doing anything, not capable of helping out the positions that they put themselves in and helping out House Tyrell because of that. Now the Faith is basically taking control of that whole situation. So obviously there's going to be some bloodshed on there. I really don't know when, but the High Sparrow, he's no man's fool. But I think he's pushing a lot of things now, and obviously, you know, people are going to start to conspire against him at this point. And he only has so many sparrows, you know what I mean? Like in the end, even if he does say whatever, yeah, he'll kill some of them, but he's still going to die, you know what I mean? Like, I just see bad doom for him. Okay, going from Cersei, you know, with Cersei and that kind of stuff for her own personal things, I think that she's very mentally unstable. We're definitely going to see, she's been kind of backed into a corner, and now we're going to see her pounce. And then, to kind of round it off with Braavos and Arya, goddamn, I feel so weird because I don't know if that was, like, I thought they were going to kill Arya, and I was like, fuck, we're going to see the end of Arya, like, what's going on right now? But no, like, you know, it was actually not that bad, and, I kind of thought that was kind of lame, I'm sorry, but, like, Arya is a super, super cautious person, especially after everything she's been taught. So, I don't see, like, this little old lady coming up to her and go, oh, hey, sweetie, just, like shiv you out, shiv you. Like, like, I mean, I feel like the whole old lady thing is pretty obvious. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but like, I feel like it's very, like, I don't know, it's just very obvious. In the sense that, like, you know, Arya has all the training that the Faceless Men had, basically. I mean, from what we know, she was about to be initiated if she had killed the actress. And I felt like it was kind of weird for the Faceless Men, the girl, the other, who's supposed to be the waif, that basically was one of the people that trained Arya. I thought it was really weird that she was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stab her a couple times and then let her jump into the water, and that's gonna be it. You know what I mean? Like, did she think that she killed her? It just seemed very unthorough for the Faceless Men, who are supposed to be like these uber assassins, like basically the best assassins in that world. So it just seemed very, like, you know, I thought that they would be coming at her from just like an angle that she was never gonna guess. I want to see something like Assassin's Creed kind of shit. You know what I mean? But you know, limited budgets, whatever. Okay, you know, that kind of stuff. But yeah, overall, like I said, I just wanted to kind of touch on the fact that I thought it was really cool that we got to see some of the castles. You know, River Run, beautiful shots of River Run. Got to see the castle or the fort at Bear Island for House Mormont and that kind of stuff. So I really think it's cool, and I hope that we get to see more of it because I'm a huge sucker for that kind of lore. But yeah, I really think that, you know, this was kind of a filler episode. Probably one of the weaker episodes from this whole season, but it really wasn't bad because I feel like it lines up for some very cool story tropes. Like Brienne obviously is going to be meeting up with Jaime the next episode, but like Jaime just seems completely obsessed with Cersei, so at this point I don't care if Brienne kills him or even if Stoneheart kills him. Like, just please end Jaime's misery, okay? Because his story trope in the show, I just don't like it. But whatever. I mean, if you enjoy it, I maybe you want Jaime to live on and be a Kingsguard to whoever is end up on the Iron Throne. But and as I thought is another crazy thing, that he's basically now not even Kingsguard, so he is technically Lord of Casterly Rock. Then, I mean, or should be, you know. I mean, I don't know why no one's bringing that up. Why he feels like he needs to try to be at the heads of the armies when technically by all means he should be, and he supposedly should have the wealth of Casterly Rock behind him now. But anyway, I just feel like there's a big kind of plot hole for the show. Like I said, I just feel like them taking him out of the Kingsguard just makes it so much more confusing, you know, because the Kingsguard was supposed to be his redemption arc. The Kingsguard was supposed to be kind of the thing that made him in line, and the reason, and his buffer to why he didn't want to be a lord and shouldn't be a lord. And now that it's all taken away, I feel like, okay, so he is basically acting Lord of Casterly Rock right now. But for them not to mention that is kind of huge. Anyway, like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was still okay. One of the weaker ones for the season, though, but it's definitely going to add a lot of texture to what I think is going to end up happening. I think the Vale Knights will definitely come and be part of the storming of Winterfell. However, I do think that Sansa will end up crowned Queen of the North, and that is what her letter said to Peter Baelish. Or possibly she will be crowned Queen in the North just at some point, because Peter Baelish, if she does ally herself with him, he's not going to just relinquish power over to Jon and Davos. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not going to happen. So I think that he's going to make Sansa either queen herself or get queened in some sort of retrospect, kind of the way that Robb was, where people were just like, hey, you should be king. Okay, cool. But yeah, so I think that's what's going to happen for the North. Basically, the only real big thing that's going to come out, like I said, I think the White Walkers are imminent. Like, just any second we're going to hear that the wall has fallen and the Night Watch is basically gone, and that the White Walkers are basically marching on the land of the living. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and until then, Valor Morgulis.